If only the school authority knew what their favorite teacher does to the students. Thank you for stopping by. If you are coming across this channel for the first time, please subscribe. At Greenhill College, a prestigious secondary school in Enugu, excellence wasn't just expected, it was marketed. Brochures spoke of moral leadership, academic brilliance, and global competitiveness. The compound was serene, and the students, mostly children of middle and upper-class families, moved through their days with confidence. The gates were guarded like a mini embassy. The classrooms were air-conditioned. Students wore green blazers with gold buttons, and parents paid millions annually for the assurance that their children were in safe, moral, and academically elite hands. And at the center of it all was Mr. Brian Udu, a pervert who was attracted to both boys and girls, young, refined, approachable, and educated abroad. Mr. Brian taught literature and English to students from SS1 to SS3. He wore well-ironed shirts and sometimes switched to native wear on Fridays, neatly tailored caftans with subtle embroidery. His diction was flawless, and he had a way of quoting Achebe and Soyinka with such grace that even the most distracted students would listen. No other teacher got as much accolade as Mr. Brian Udu. Students adored him, staff envied him, and parents, especially mothers, adored the way he cared. He called his students champions. He checked in on them when they missed school. He had lunch with a few of them every Friday, chosen by merit. He ran a poetry club, a book circle, and sometimes funded excursions with his own money. But the real Mr. Brian lived in shadows, and in silence, and in secrets. His reputation was untouchable. He spoke to the students like they were adults, and they responded with admiration and trust. Mr. Brian makes us feel human, one SS1 girl once said in a student feedback forum. To the parents, he was a blessing. He got my son to read again. He personally mentored my daughter before her external examinations. He checks up on the kids even during the holidays. Parents said this about him. No one suspected what he truly was. At the same Greenhill College, students whispered tales of Mr. Okan like ghost stories. He was the one teacher everyone feared, always in a crisp shirt, always holding a long cane that clicked ominously against the tiled floor. His eyes, sharp like broken glass, scanned the class with suspicion. He rarely smiled, and when he did, it made students even more nervous. "Wicked man," they'd mutter. "He doesn't like children." He made students cut their fingernails every Monday. He inspected uniforms. He even had a ledger where he wrote down names of latecomers and liars. He once made an entire class stay back after school for one missed assignment. Mr. Okan was the only teacher who had been suspicious of Mr. Brian. When he mentioned it to one of the teachers, he dismissed it by calling him jealous. Toyin was 14, smart, disciplined, and the class perfect of SS1A. She was everything a parent would be proud of, except she carried a silent pain in her chest. Her parents were divorced. Mr. Brian picked her for special mentoring. He praised her handwriting. He began texting her often, asking about her home, her friendships, her fears. Then came the invitations to his office during lunch. He gave her a copy of Purple Hibiscus with a note inside. "You bloom under pressure. You're a rare flower." She was flattered. She was confused. Then came the moment he kissed her. She pulled away. He apologized, then cried. Then he said he'd never hurt her again. But he did, again and again. And Toyin began to fail literature. When the counselor asked her why, she said, "I hate books now." Tunde in SS2 was another favorite. A bit effeminate, he was often teased by classmates, called names, shoved in the hallway. Mr. Brian stepped in and defended him once during an assembly. From then on, Tunde saw him as a protector. He confided in him, texted him, relied on him. Then one night after study hall, Mr. Brian asked him to stay behind. He told Tunde he wanted to talk in private. Tunde never told anyone what happened that night. But the next day, he avoided school. When asked, he simply said he was sick. Mr. Brian sent him a message that night. I hope you're okay. I miss our talk. Don't shut me out. You know I care about you more than anyone. Victor was in JSS 2, age 12, a small, quiet boy who lived with his uncle after his mother moved to Port Harcourt for work. Victor often stayed back after school. He had nowhere else to go, and Mr. Bryan noticed. One rainy evening, after prep, Mr. Bryan called him into the literature lab. "I know how hard it is without a mother," he said, handing him a cup of tea. "You can always talk to me." Victor nodded. He didn't have many friends. Mr. Bryan became his world, giving him attention, snacks, praise. Then came the first touch. It started with a back rub, then a hand that lingered, then a moment that changed everything. Victor didn't understand what happened, but when he tried to speak up, Mr. Bryan's face darkened. "You will destroy both of us," he said. "Do you want to go back to that wicked uncle of yours? Think." Victor never spoke again, not for years. "I'm happy to still have you here. Please don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up and share your thoughts on the comment section." Kelechi had just transferred from a school in Jos. She was 15, tall, with natural hair and a fierce stare. She didn't smile much, but even she fell under Mr. Bryan's charm. He welcomed her, introduced her to the poetry club, said she reminded him of a girl he used to love in university. Same quiet fire. He told her about life in the UK, how Nigerian girls were more respectful, how maturity came from pain. Then one afternoon, when she stayed back to complete a poem she was writing, he locked the classroom door. That day, she came home with a torn skirt and a blank stare. Her older brother asked her what happened. She said, "Nothing. It was just wind." Jonathan was 16 in SS3. He was witty, popular, and quick to sense hypocrisy. He didn't like Mr. Daniel. When Mr. Bryan began inviting him to his office, Jonathan resisted. But one day, while submitting an essay, Mr. Daniel stood too close. "Do you know you're very handsome?" he whispered. Jonathan froze. And then he did what no one else had done. He pushed Mr. Bryan away, then he cursed him, loudly. Mr. Bryan slapped him. Jonathan punched him back. A scuffle, a broken mug, blood. Then silence. Mr. Bryan quickly filed a report. Jonathan attacked a teacher during prep. Jonathan was suspended for 2 weeks. His mother begged him to apologize. He refused. "God punish all of you," he told the principal. "One day you'll see who this man really is." During an anonymous end-of-term feedback form, something alarming surfaced. One SS1 girl scribbled, "Mr. Bryan gives me the creeps. He touches girls too much. I think something is wrong." The school counselor, Mrs. Okori, dismissed it. Teenagers exaggerate. But then a cleaner reported seeing Kioma crying in the girls' toilet. When asked what was wrong, the girl simply said, "I feel dirty." Another girl fainted in the hall after receiving a call from an unknown number. Her mother later said she'd been waking up with panic attacks. The school refused to look deeper. Mr. Bryan's image was too clean, too perfect. One rainy afternoon, when most students had gone home, Mr. Okon walked past the empty music room and heard muffled voices. Something about the tone sent chills down his spine. He barged in and found Mr. Bryan standing too close to a crying JSS3 girl. The moment froze. "Step away," Mr. Okon barked, voice thundering through the walls. Mr. Bryan stammered. The girl, shaken and teary, ran to Mr. Okon's side. Later that day, Mr. Okon reported him to the principal. The JSSS3 was summoned first. All efforts to get her to share her experience with Mr. Bryan yielded nothing. She made Mr. Okon look stupid. She looked terrified. "He didn't touch me," she said severally. When Mr. Bryan was summoned, he said he had always known that Mr. Okon hates him. Kioma was 14 in SS1, bright, reserved, and a gifted writer. She kept to herself but poured her emotions into essays and poems that caught Mr. Bryan's attention. "You write like someone twice your age," he once told her in front of the class. She blushed. Later that week, he called her aside after prep and offered to mentor her writing privately. "We'll keep it between us," he said. Some students get jealous when I give extra attention. At first, their sessions took place in the staff room, then in the empty library after hours, then in his car. He bought her a new diary, then a pink iPhone, claiming it was a reward for brilliance. He started texting her late at night, long messages about how mature she was, how he could talk to her about anything, and how she was different from the other girls. When she hesitated, he guilt-tripped her. "You're not like those childish girls in SS1, are you? You're smarter than that." He started to touch her, small things at first, a hand on her shoulder, a palm against her lower back when guiding her into the car. Then more, and more, until Kioma's diary went missing. She reported it to her mother, not the school. Out of worry, the woman accessed Kioma's backup iCloud and found fragments of the entries. "He says he loves me, but it doesn't feel right. I hate the way he kisses me after class. Why does no one see what's happening?" Kioma's mother went straight to the police. They involved a child psychologist and a lawyer. The authorities seized Mr. Bryan's phone, then his laptop. What they found made national headlines. Photos, messages, voice notes, videos, some taken without the children's knowledge. There were at least 7 students, some dating back 2 academic years. Mr. Bryan was arrested during morning assembly. His car never left the staff parking lot that day. Students watched in shock as the man they'd admired was led away in handcuffs. Some cried, some clapped, many just stared. Students began to open up. The scandal rocked the school. Green Hill was forced to shut down for a term. The principal was suspended. The counselor resigned. Parents organized a town hall. Tears flowed. Lawsuits followed. Some of the survivors were transferred to other schools. Some stopped speaking. Some cut themselves. Some went into therapy. The school revamped its entire structure. All closed-door mentorships were banned. Student-teacher messages were monitored. Psychological assessments became mandatory. External audits were introduced. A plaque now sits near the front gate below the school motto, "Evil hides behind praise. Question everything. Protect the child first." And still, some parents whisper to themselves at night, "If only we had known. If only we had asked more questions. If only we had looked past the charm." Because monsters don't always hide in the dark. Sometimes they wear perfume, hold books, quote Shakespeare, and smile. And Mr. Ocon? He stayed silent, never once boasting. But the students saw him differently now. He was still strict, still watched everything like a hawk, but now they saw why. He wasn't wicked. He was a shield. And for the first time in years, Mr. Ocon smiled, not a threatening grin, but a warm, knowing one. Thank you for watching. If you found this story interesting, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Share your thoughts on the comment section.